Dante Whitner is a very interesting analyst. He works for NBC. After the game, he was candid. They asked him, what's wrong with this defense? And he said, it's code red. They don't do anything well. How big of an issue is this defense right now?
Well, I got two things that trouble me about them. They can't stop the run, Iggy. I mean, mediocre running backs look like Jim Brown against them.
Mm-hmm.
And the new defense coordinator, if he is even, who knows how that works? Sorensen? Is that his name?
Sorensen, yeah, Sorensen.
Sorensen. He seems through 3 games over his head. Would you agree with my 2 statements?
I would agree with your 2 statements, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
What else don't they do well as a defense?
I mean, the secondary was so good last year under Steve Wilks. It's not so good anymore. Charvarius Ward gave up a touchdown catch week 2 and then a 50-yard catch last week. The rookie safety, Jair Brown, was better last year than this year. The pass rush isn't really doing much. And what's troubling about the pass rush, they're not getting a lot of pressure, and they're not blitzing. Usually, like, you rush 4 if you can create pressure with 4, but if you can't, you rush 5. And if you can't get pressure with 5, you rush 6, because you can't let the quarterback just stand there. And they're currently letting the quarterback just stand there, which is why freaking Sam Darnold threw a 97-yard touchdown pass from his end zone. I mean, the idea that they would call that pass a slow developing play action pass in the end zone. Usually if you're afraid of a pass rush, you wouldn't call that because you're thinking safety. But against the Niners, they're thinking touchdown, and it was. That's a problem.
Really, and Matthew Stafford doesn't move all that well. He wasn't under duress in that game.
No.
He was like a guy at the beach looking at the waves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Waving at the waves.
He was waving at the waves.
And now Hargraves is down, who wasn't particularly great, but now his backup is playing.
Who's his backup?
Jordan Elliott, who's a guy who's been on the team for 3 weeks.
Oh,
3 games.
Okay.
Yeah. Dad, how good of a week do you think Steve Wilks is having right now?
Well, bittersweet. He's still, they got rid of him, and he's probably bitter. On the other hand, he sees what a mess this defense is, and he sees that the secondary, it has declined a little bit. I mean, Ward, Iggy, is a hell of a player, right?
Yeah.
So for him to get, it's not like he's not a good player.
No, he's a hell of a player.
He's a hell of a player. So there's something wrong there. Mm-hmm. And I think Wilks must be looking at it and thinking, Kyle doesn't know his ass from his elbow.
Yeah. And Wilks is probably thinking, man, these guys ruined my career. I'm never going to be in the NFL again. Now it's like, wait a second. My stock is back up. Look what happens when I leave this team. All of a sudden, their defense falls apart. Maybe I am valuable in the NFL.
I sure think he is, and I sure hope he is.
Yeah, me too. Luis Madera says if the Niners lose to New England, the season is over. But what do I know? I live in San Jose where they still wear affliction shirts. My dad has no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know
what they do. And it's strange. Michael McCann says Bill could beat the Patriots with the Niners backups.
Yep, he could.
You asked earlier, why did he have to go to Germany for this? He's getting a PRP injection, which is a platelet-rich plasma injection, and it's not FDA approved in America.
Okay. Well, fine. Now that explains it. But let me say this: it shows how desperate he is, Iggy.
Yeah,
it's a move of desperation.
It's absolutely a move of desperation. Joseph Furreal says, could an overload of injuries be enough to forget the executioner's shortcomings? Is there enough introspection to go around in this group of egoists, or has Kyle removed any need to take ownership?
If they're, listen, I
want
to be real.
Will all these injuries prevent the Niners from actually doing introspection about why they didn't win the Super Bowl this year?
Right. I want to be real clear on this. One way to look at it is, you can't really judge Kyle. So many people got hurt. It's not his fault. If, as a result of all these injuries, they don't make the playoffs, if I'm the owner, I fire him. It's not even close. Look, preseason is to get your players ready. Part of getting them ready is football ready, so they don't all go down. He didn't play his elite players very much. He didn't. They came out for the season demonstrably unprepared. Well, that's on the coach. And how many excuses does this guy have? How many excuses do you have to give him? This is his 8th season. if he doesn't make the playoffs, he's 0-8. They fired George Seifert after 8 seasons, and he had won 2 Super Bowls.
Mhm.
Well, that's the 49ers standard. Not, oh, God, maybe we ought to give him another chance. He tried. It's true he didn't go to the hospital after Pearsall got shot, but he had a party. But, he had obligations to the team because he had a party. I mean, how many really crummy things does this guy get away with? I would have fired him already because he hasn't produced.
Not to mention his display at the Super Bowl the week of.
Yeah, well, also, and after the game when he pretended he knew the overtime rules and he didn't, and he didn't know those rules, that's a firing offense right there. So what
when
I'm
he
saying
partied
is,
with Lil Wayne and the team after the first Super Bowl loss.
Yeah, I mean, who is this guy?
Yeah.
So I would have fired him already. Who is this guy? I would have fired him already. But if he doesn't make the playoffs, Kyle, you one thing you're great at is excuses. We need to go we need to go in another direction.
Also, here's how I feel about Kyle. He's a good coach for a team that doesn't have a good quarterback because he's a run-first coach. Huh?
He has an excellent quarterback, Iggy.
But what I'm saying is, he's valuable for a team that doesn't have a good quarterback.
Okay, I got confused.
He'll get the run game going, he'll get the play-action passing going, and he'll make someone like Jimmy Garoppolo look good. But once you have a really good quarterback, what you need is the ability to just drop back and throw sometimes, or a lot of times, and that's not what he does well, because he doesn't even let the quarterback audible at the line of scrimmage, call plays at the line of scrimmage, set protections. You're just an extension of Kyle. And I think that's good for quarterbacks who need training wheels, but I don't think it's good for quarterbacks like Peyton Manning. Tom Brady would never want Kyle Shanahan looking over his shoulder telling him what to do like that. And if Brock Purdy is truly elite and is starting to look like he could be, then I think he might do better with a different kind of coach.
Iggy, I think that treatment hurt Garoppolo.
Yeah. Look at Jared Goff in Detroit. He's not the greatest quarterback, but that coach does a really good job with him, and it's not all play action. So that guy's interesting to me. The offensive coordinator with Detroit, Washington wanted him this year. He ended up saying, no, I don't want my first job to be with that franchise. If Kyle misses the playoffs this year and Detroit has a really nice run, I'd look at that guy, Ben Johnson. He's 38. He got to start with Joe Philbin, who got to start with Mike Sherman, who got to start with Mike Holmgren. So he's kind of a offshoot of the West Coast offense.
I would also say, again, you may disagree with this. I think NFL defenses are beginning to figure out Kyle, or maybe already have figured him out. What do you think?
I do. I think it's understood. If you have to stop his run game, you have to make him one-dimensional. If he can run the ball and do play action, he's tough. But if you can stop the run and you can put 5-6 guys in the line of scrimmage, he won't even try to run. He won't even try to do play action. He'll go to shotgun, spread formations, and that's the worst part of his playbook. And that's where you want him to live. The Chiefs did it in the Super Bowl. The Vikings did it a couple of weeks ago. Load up the line of scrimmage. You don't even have to blitz every time, but make him think that you're going to blitz every time. Show the possibility of pressure, and he'll crumble. 17 points, 19 points.
Yeah.
Yep. And what's funny is he doesn't understand it. His scheme on defense is the outdated Pete Carroll stuff that the Seahawks don't even run anymore. Kevin O'Connell runs the Kubiak-Shanahan. Everyone runs the Kubiak-Shanahan offense. Kevin O'Connell on the Vikings runs it. But he's smart enough to understand what beats it, and that's why he has Brian Flores as his defensive coordinator. Fish and Chips as a surfboard would do a better job at D coordinator than Nick Sorensen. The Vermilion Sports Report says props Papa Cohn only fitting on Sean McVay bobblehead day. McVay outcoached Kyle and got the win. Rams going for third straight over Santa Clara, December 12th.
I would have to say that McVay really did outcoach Kyle. In fact, he coached his tush off with that fake punt and a lot of things he did. McVay was coaching for his team's season.
Mm-hmm. He had his team playing like it. And then Kyle tried to tell his team, look, the Rams are going to be really hyped up. They're not going to want to go to 0-3, so they're going to get their best shot. And they didn't listen.
No,
they didn't play that hard.
No. And it's interesting about Bosa, Iggy. He's very good at what he does. But could I say this? I mean, he gets paid a lot of money for 1 or 2 sacks a game. In a sense, he's kind of a one-dimensional player. He has this one thing he does. Is he good against the run?
No, he's not. And he's not even that good of a pass rusher anymore. He'll get the one sack, but he's not getting consistent pressure like he used to. He's not. So, I
That's
mean,
another contract.
yeah, you're paying him $34 million a year. That's more than Baker Mayfield gets. That's more than a lot of quarterbacks get. And he's currently on one of the worst defenses in the league. Like, where's the impact?
Yeah.
Fish and Chip says, are we at the start of Kyle Shanahan injuring another quarterback?
Oh, I would never be surprised at that. I mean, I think he's a specialist at that.